Can you see us? Can you hear us?
Madam Chair, we can only just hear you now as you said that. We couldn't hear you before.
Thank you. So could you please go ahead with the examination of this item?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I understand you'd like me to present the item number 7, which is the examination of the reports of states parties on the current status of elements inscribed on the list of intangible cultural heritage in need of urgent safeguarding.
That's correct.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The committee has received 9 reports to examine in total, and we would like to propose that this item be presented along the 3 main topics related to the safeguarding of the elements. Firstly, the effectiveness of the safeguarding plan. Secondly, community participation towards the implementation of the safeguarding plan and in preparation of the report. And then finally, the viability and risks that are associated with the element. And following the overall presentation, the floor will be open for a general debate. The committee will then move towards adopting individual decisions for each report as a whole and without debate, unless otherwise requested by a committee member. All the draft decisions presented for the 9 reports follow a similar structure, a few standard paragraphs, as well as specific ones to address the needs, welcome the achievements, and underline the challenges for each of the inscribed elements. The last paragraph is always about the next submission deadline. Once all the individual decisions are adopted, the committee may adopt the chapeau decision paragraph by paragraph. And before ending the item, submitting states will be invited, should they wish, to share their experiences in safeguarding these inscribed elements. Thank you, Madam Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis, for proposing to us this methodology. Committee members, do you have any objections or comments? I see none.
Switzerland, Madam Chair. Switzerland and Sweden.
Please go ahead, Switzerland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That would be for a general statement. Is it okay? It's not an objection.
Okay, thank you, Switzerland. I would kindly ask Mr. Curtis to present this item to us.
Madam Chair, I think we had Switzerland asking for if they could make a general statement, and Sweden was also asking for the floor, and Czechia.
Okay, could you go ahead, please, and make your general statement?
Thank you, Madame. Madame la Présidente, nous souhaitons remercier les États qui ont soumis un rapport sur l'état de leurs éléments inscrits sur la liste du patrimoine culturel immatériel nécessitant une sauvegarde urgente. La Suisse se félicite des efforts entrepris pour la sauvegarde de ces éléments. La Suisse partage les observations générales sur les rapports soumis pour examen en 2020, notamment quant à la baisse de la transmission de certains éléments du patrimoine culturel immatériel et au besoin renforcé de les inclure dans l'éducation formelle et informelle. Nous sommes persuadés du rôle important que les maisons du patrimoine, centres d'interprétation et musées ont à jouer dans ce contexte. Nous notons avec préoccupation la fragilité accrue de certaines communautés autochtones due à la destruction de l'environnement par l'extraction, la déforestation ou la pollution. L'exode rural a certes permis, dans certains cas, de renforcer la promotion d'un élément à grande échelle. Toutefois, cette amplification ne devrait pas faire oublier que les communautés locales, porteuses d'une tradition, doivent être au centre de tous les efforts de sauvegarde. Pour conclure, la Suisse souhaite également souligner l'importance de la prise en compte de la répartition équilibrée des genres dans le soutien aux porteurs ou dans la transmission. Un déséquilibre entre les genres risque de mettre en péril la transmission de l'élément. Je vous remercie de votre attention.
Thank you, Switzerland. I understand that Sweden would also wish to take the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Yes, Sweden would like to take the floor also for a general statement. Sweden would like to thank the state parties that have submitted reports under this item, as well as the Secretariat for the very useful document with general observations, highlighting trends and also pointing at some challenges that the committee could look further into. The points raised in the report are not only relevant for the urgent safeguarding list, but also for the other mechanisms under the Convention and the safeguarding as a whole. Some of the findings of particular importance include the role of education, both formal and non-formal, for contemporary methods of learning and transfer of knowledge. The increasingly important role of institutions and organizations such as cultural centers and museums in the safeguarding of ICH. How an increased number of community practitioners and greater gender balance has led in some cases to an enhanced appreciation of certain elements, including among young people. And that the safeguarding of ICH of indigenous peoples has received more attention than in previous cycles. And finally, the reports that have been received by the state parties are very important instruments for the successful implementation of the convention and for sharing good practices. And Sweden would therefore like to ask the Secretariat if there are any possible further means to encourage the timely submission of reports by state parties. I thank you.
Thank you, Sweden. Czechia, could you please go ahead and take the floor?
Merci Madame la Présidente. La République tchèque voudrait joindre ses collègues pour une intervention d'ordre général. Nous remercions le secrétariat pour ce document très important. Nous voudrions rappeler que le système des rapports des États parties sur l'état actuel des éléments inscrits sur la liste du patrimoine culturel immatériel nécessitant une sauvegarde urgente et cruciale, car il informe de l'évolution de l'état de l'élément, de l'efficacité du plan de sauvegarde, de l'implication de la communauté dans sa sauvegarde et des risques existants auxquels l'élément est confronté. Les rapports constituent une riche source d'informations sur les mesures de sauvegarde inventives qui montrent quelles mesures peuvent être appliquées en général et lesquelles sont propres aux différentes régions de manière à pouvoir inspirer d'autres communautés concernées. Outre la participation toujours primordiale des communautés de détenteurs d'éléments, nous pouvons ici souligner par exemple le rôle toujours plus important de l'éducation formelle et informelle, ainsi que le rôle fondamental des musées et institutions de mémoire. Les rapports rendre ce qui se passe avec les éléments après leur inscription, tout en rassemblant les informations sur des mesures pratiques de leur sauvegarde. La République tchèque espérait qu'avec la possibilité de présenter les rapports plus facilement en ligne, afin de faciliter la numérisation des données et le travail du secrétariat, le nombre des rapports augmenterait. Au lieu de cela, beaucoup d'États parties ne remplissent toujours pas cette obligation. C'est pour diverses raisons que le document du secrétariat ne mentionne pas. Selon nous, la règle selon laquelle les États qui ne soumettent pas les rapports en temps voulu devraient fournir une explication au comité devrait être appliquée. Ces États devraient préciser les raisons de leur retard et fixer une nouvelle date définitive pour la remise de leurs rapports. Compte tenu du fait que les États n'ont pas remis de rapport sur l'état de la sauvegarde, continuent néanmoins de présenter les candidatures de nouveaux éléments, nous ne supposons pas que le problème réside dans des capacités insuffisantes. Nous nous posons donc la question suivante. Que faire de plus pour que tous les États remettent leurs rapports et respectent ainsi l'obligation de la Convention? Nous ne sommes pas partisans de sanctions, mais puisque cette question revient régulièrement sur la table de notre comité, sans effet notable sur le système de soumission des rapports, nous pourrions réfléchir à la possibilité de ne pas évaluer de nouvelles nouvelles candidatures venant des pays qui n'ont pas soumis ces rapports sur l'état actuel des éléments déjà inscrits. Par conséquent, nous demandons au secrétariat de nous fournir les informations sur la possibilité d'ajouter dans l'article 1.10.34 des directives opérationnelles une condition indiquant que seront évaluées seulement les nominations des États qui ont soumis les rapports sur l'état des éléments précédemment inscrits. Et nous demandons à nos collègues du comité de considérer cette possibilité à l'avenir. Merci, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you, Chekio. I will just ask Tim to respond at this point to Sweden's question.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. I believe I had two similar questions from Sweden and Czechia, which were asking what is being done or what can be done to further encourage submissions of reports on the already inscribed elements. I remind state parties and the audience that elements on the representative list are reported within the overall periodic reporting of the state, including the general implementation of the convention. However, those elements which are listed under the urgent safeguarding list are subject to their own specific cycle of reporting on that specific element. And here we are talking about the urgent safeguarding list. You will look in the decision, and it has been discussed in the past, that there is language which under paragraph 5 of the decision, which the draft decision, which regrets that several reports have not been submitted in time, and further invites the state parties that have not submitted their expected reports to fulfill their reporting requirements before submitting new nominations. This is an invitation, it is not a request. Indeed, Czechia was asking whether it could then be inserted into the operational directives. Of course, should states parties to the convention so wish, then that can be done, but that can only be done by the General Assembly of states parties. But the committee is already inviting states to refrain from submitting should they not, but it is not at this stage an obligation. Whether the committee could actually oblige that is something I'd need to check on in terms of the legality of that, and particularly the relationship between the Article 11034 of the operational directives and what the committee's possibility to do that. Otherwise, it will have to go, if this is the wish, to change the operational directives in that sense, it would have to go to the General Assembly. I hope that answers the question. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Now, Côte d'Ivoire, please take the floor.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Je voudrais tout d'abord féliciter l'UNESCO, le secrétaire de la Convention, pour les rapports des États partis sur l'état actuel des éléments inscrits sur la liste du patrimoine culturel immatériel nécessitant une sauvegarde urgente. Madame la Présidente, ces rapports sont très importants parce qu'ils montrent l'importance des communautés, ils montrent également le rôle de l'éducation et ils peuvent servir d'exemple pour les autres éléments inscrits pour les autres pays. Et Madame la Présidente, c'est avec une grande désolation que la Côte d'Ivoire se rend compte que sur 15 rapports attendus, il n'y en a seulement que 9 qui ont été fournis à l'UNESCO. Et je viens rejoindre les pays comme la Suède qui se sont exprimés avant nous pour dire qu'il y a quelque chose à faire. C'est une responsabilité que les pays ont quand ils ont des éléments inscrits et il faudrait absolument que nous trouvions un moyen pour pousser un peu les États à fournir des rapports. Bien entendu, M. Tim Curtis vient de nous dire qu'il faut passer par l'Assemblée générale des États partis, mais déjà, dans les projets de décision, on peut faire apparaître dans ce projet des éléments qui poussent un peu les États à prendre conscience du fait que ces rapports sont importants. Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you, Côte d'Ivoire. I'll now invite the Republic of Korea, who wants to make an intervention.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We wish to thank for the diligence and hard work of all states parties that had submitted their reports in time. We are satisfied with the various findings in the report, especially its special focus on the increased role of formal and informal education in the transmission of intangible heritage and the strengthening of community participation. We are pleased that there were in-depth discussions in this regard last week through UNESCO expert meeting on education-related indicators of the overall results framework for the 2003 conventions and their relationship with SDG 4. I believe the use of online format by the state parties requesting the urgent safeguarding list will help our joint efforts and facilitate the work of the Secretariat and the experts. In addition, it should be recalled once again that the transfer of an element from one list to the other will require consideration and discussion related to clear and specific procedures in line with the ongoing global reflection on the listing mechanisms of 2003 Convention. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Republic of Korea. I understand that Peru would like to take the floor. Please go ahead, Peru.
Buenos días, señora presidenta, buenos días a la mesa. Es un gusto saludarlos hoy día. Siendo la primera vez que la delegación de Perú toma la palabra, queremos agradecer vivamente a Jamaica por acoger la 15ª reunión de nuestro Comité Intergubernamental. Y a usted, señora presidenta, en especial por su excelente conducción de nuestros debates. Queremos también agradecer por haber designado al Perú como parte de este comité para el periodo 2020-2024. Es un orgullo para nosotros integrar este colegiado por tercera vez y pondremos nuestra experiencia y nuestra voluntad en el trabajo a realizar. Queremos felicitar a los países que han cumplido con presentar a tiempo, de modo responsable, sus informes en relación al estado de sus expresiones inscritas en la lista de salvaguardia urgente. Queremos felicitarlos por su acuciosa labor de salvaguardia que está muy bien reflejada en sus informes y recogida, por supuesto, en el informe de la Secretaría. Asimismo, queremos alentar a los Estados partes de esta convención a utilizar este mecanismo, la lista de salvaguardia urgente, como mecanismo especial de la Convención de Cooperación Internacional para la Salvaguardia. Más aún hoy que su eficiencia se ha visto fortalecida por su vinculación al Fondo de Patrimonio Inmaterial. Es decir, ahora también se otorgan recursos para la salvaguardia de estos elementos así inscritos. A propósito de los informes que los Estados partes formulamos periódicamente, queremos expresar desde la delegación peruana que compartimos lo expresado en relación, lo expresado por las personas, las delegaciones que nos han antecedido en el uso de la palabra, en relación a la importancia crucial de los mismos, tanto para los elementos inscritos en la lista de salvaguardia urgente, como para los informes generales relativos a la implementación de la Convención a escala nacional. En ese sentido, queremos... ¿Perdón?
Thank you, Peru. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Quisiera terminar, por favor, un segundo, si es posible. Es la primera vez que tomamos la palabra y prometemos ser austeros en el uso de la misma, si me lo permiten.
Okay, go ahead. You know,
Gracias,
we are
presidenta.
timing everyone here, but please go ahead. Go ahead.
Gracias. Queremos también comentar que estamos culminando el primer ciclo de entrega de los informes periódicos de implementación de la Convención de modo regional, bajo el nuevo formato regido por el marco global de resultados creados para nuestra Convención. Ha tocado a América Latina abrir este proceso de implementación de esta nueva herramienta que consideramos innovadora y participativa y que estamos seguros contribuirá de manera significativa a valorar nuestras fortalezas como también a comprender los retos que aún tenemos por delante en cada país, así como en la región. Quiero felicitar en ese sentido a la Secretaría por el trabajo hecho en conjunto con el Centro Regional para la Salvaguardia del Patrimonio Cultural Inmaterial de América Latina, CRESPIAL, para preparar y acompañar a los países de la región en el uso de esta nueva herramienta que da cuenta de cómo nuestra convención y sus mecanismos son dinámicos, al igual que lo es el propio patrimonio cultural inmaterial. Entonces, quiero reconocer el trabajo de excelencia que se ha realizado para en este nuevo ciclo regional por la Secretaría y por el CRESPIAL. Muchas gracias, señora presidenta.
Thank you. Iran, I will give you the floor after examination of your report. In the meantime, I will now ask Mr. Curtis to present this item to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson, and it's my pleasure to present the reports and the document. This year, as I said, the committee has to examine 9 reports submitted by states parties on the status of elements inscribed on the urgent safeguarding list. And the table in paragraph 6 of the working document, LHE/20/15.com/7, shows the lists of these reports, which include 7 reports for elements inscribed in 2011 and 2 reports for elements inscribed in 2015. The majority of the reports for this cycle, therefore, are either the second ordinary report or the third report submitted by the states after submitting an extraordinary report 2 years after inscription, as was decided at the first round of inscriptions. Due to the increasing number of second ordinary reports, the importance of states addressing the concerns raised by the committee based on the examination of the previous reports is particularly highlighted. The assessments of each second ordinary report or third report, therefore, refers specifically to previous decisions and highlights how the state has addressed or not the committee recommendations in previous cycles. You may also find the table in paragraph 5, which presents all overdue reports. These reports are expected to be submitted by 15th of December this year for their examination at the 16th session in 2021. Dear members of the committee, allow me to now go through the key points that were raised in the 9 reports along these 3 topics I mentioned earlier. The first being the effectiveness of the safeguarding plans, and several reports received this year demonstrate the growing role of formal and non-formal education in the transmission and hence safeguarding of intangible cultural heritage. Transmission processes have been weakening in families and other informal social contexts, which highlights the need to adapt to contemporary methods of learning and transmission, as was pointed out by reports submitted by Indonesia, Mali, and Uganda. In addition, museums are playing a prominent role and a growing role, serving as a cultural space for performance practices and educational training and awareness-raising activities, as we saw for both files submitted by Iran as well as Mongolia, as the file of Mongolia, sorry. The organization of festivals is also considered as a widespread safeguarding measure and quite popularly, and this is quite popular and being more increasingly applied, and we saw this in Indonesia, Iran, Mali, Mongolia, and United Arab Emirates. A number of reports addressed a broad scope of issues related to the safeguarding of elements of intangible cultural heritage. The importance of safeguarding local languages as vehicles of living heritage was also highlighted in a number of cases. States are also making a great effort to ensure the economic sustainability of elements, especially in terms of livelihood of tradition bearers through funding schemes for practitioners. In general, improving the socio-economic conditions of practitioners has proven to be efficient in continuing their traditional practice, and we've seen this in the files in the reports submitted by Iran as well as by the United Arab Emirates. Regarding the issue of funding for the implementation of safeguarding plans, states expressed concerns about the existing constraints and funding priorities. Funding is not equally accessible for all types of safeguarding activities, and there are certain activities that extract external funding, such as festivals and communication activities. This year, we do have a case where the use of the international assistance from the Intangible Cultural Heritage Fund was reported, and that is for the folk long song performance technique of limbe performances, circular breathing from Mongolia. And this allows the committee at this session to evaluate the impact of international assistance on the viability of the element. Community participation is also another criteria or another category of issues which we noted, and several states reported that participatory safeguarding measures have been developed to ensure community participation throughout all stages of safeguarding, as well as, of course, during the reporting stage. Some reports also address the role of living heritage in raising a broader awareness in society about the ways of life of indigenous communities, and the report from Brazil pointed this out in particular, as well as that of Uganda. In some cases, the loss of gender balance among practitioners has been identified as a risk for the transmission of the element, whereas other reports suggested that greater gender balance in its practice has led to an enhanced appreciation of the element in society, including among youth. Concerning the viability of the element and current risks that it may still be facing, several reports mention the viability of inscribed elements as threatened by broad environmental and socio-economic changes, such as urbanizations, challenges accessing natural resources and natural sites associated to intangible cultural heritage. And we had examples of this from Brazil, from Mali, Mongolia, Uganda, as well as the United Arab Emirates. In certain cases, the outflow of local community members, especially youth to urban areas, has led to a nationwide practice of the elements, substantially amplifying and diversifying the scope of the community concerned. And this was reported also for Indonesia, as well as the United Arab Emirates. Several states in this cycle have reported on the enhanced viability of the inscribed element, and stated that it is no longer in need of urgent safeguarding, while expressing their desire to transfer the element from the urgent safeguarding list to the representative list. It is important to recall here Decision 12-14, where states parties are asked to refrain from submitting requests for such transfer of an element from one list to another until clear and specific procedures and criteria have been created. I remind you that such procedures and criteria are will be considered and discussed in line with the ongoing global reflection on the listing mechanisms. Finally, I'm sorry for speaking a little bit long, Madam Chair, but there was a dense amount and rich amount of information in these reports, which, although some of the shortcomings that have been reported by previous speakers, we do see to a noticeable extent an increase in the quality of those reports we have received. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. I now open the floor. Does any committee member wish to take the floor at this stage before the examination of the individual reports and corresponding draft decisions? Sweden? I understand Sweden wishes to take the floor. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. According to the discussion that we had under this item, we would like to suggest an amendment to the general decision under this item, which is the first one in the document. But I don't know if this is the time to propose it now or if we're going to go through all the decisions. But we would like to propose something under the first draft decision under this item.
Thank you, Sweden. I would like to ask you to make that presentation at the time when the decision is up and we're taking the matter. So we will now move to the draft decision for the individual reports. We will start with the adoption of Decision 15.com/7.1 concerning the third report submitted by Brazil on Okwa, the Nawi people's ritual for the maintenance of social and cosmic order. Please forgive me if I have not pronounced as I should. So the draft decision is up. Unless you wish to propose amendments to this draft decision, may I suggest that we adopt it as a whole? I see no objections. I therefore declare decision 15.com7.1 adopted as it appears on the screens. Shall we now move to adopting decision 15.com7.2 concerning the second report submitted by Indonesia on Saman dance? I understand Côte d'Ivoire wishes to take the floor.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Peut-être que j'ai été inattentive, mais il me semblait qu'on devait adopter le projet de décision 15.7 avant tout. C'est la décision chapeau pour tous les rapports. Qu'est-ce qu'il en est?
Madam Chair, may I explain?
Yes.
Effectivement, nous avons dit au début, on va d'abord faire chaque décision pour chaque rapport et c'est à la fin de toutes les décisions qu'on reviendra sur la décision générale 7. Merci.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Madam Chair, I think you may continue.
Please go ahead, Tim.
No, I think that's resolved. I understand Côte d'Ivoire understands now that we will come back to the overall decision after we've done the individual reports. Please proceed.
Yes, thank you. Can we adopt this draft decision as a whole? All right, so. All right, I therefore declare, I see no objection, so I therefore declare decision 15.com7.2 adopted as it appears on the screen. Let us now move to the adoption of decision 15.com7.3 concerning the second report submitted by the Islamic Republic of Iran on Nakwali, Iranian dramatic storytelling. Shall we adopt this draft decision as a whole? I see no objection. I therefore declare decision 15.com7.3 adopted as it appears on the screens. We are now moving on to decision 15.com7.4 concerning the second report submitted by the Islamic Republic of Iran on traditional skills of building and sailing Iranian lanch boats in the Persian Gulf. The draft decision is up. Can we adopt this draft decision as a whole? Iran, do you want to take the floor now? Please go ahead if you wish to do so.
Madam Chair, it is a pity that we couldn't see the beautiful Jamaica in person. Thanks for your leadership. Dear Dr. Curtis, dear all colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I hope everybody is safe and sound during this coronavirus pandemic. I would like to express my sincere thanks to the Secretariat for its successful efforts to organize this big event online. Iran is proud that has succeeded to safeguard this precious element, Naqali Iranian dramatic storytelling, and continues to do so. As we said in our periodic report, the Islamic Republic of Iran intends to propose the transfer of the element from the list of intangible cultural heritage in need of urgent safeguarding to the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. I would like to thank all NGOs active in the field, ICH, NAQALs, and the relevant cultural bodies. And we do also agree with the committee's rightful attention to the impact of tourism on its safeguarding. We will pay more attention to this particular issue about the second dossier. I also avail myself of the opportunity to thank captains, sailors, NGOs, municipalities of Iranian ports on the north shores of the Persian Gulf. So many thanks for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you, Iran. Can we now adopt a draft decision as a whole? I see no objection. I therefore declare decision 15.com 7.4 adopted as it appears on the screens. Next is the draft decision 15.com 7.5 concerning the second report submitted by Mali on secret society of the Korendugwa, the right of wisdom in Mali. The draft decision is up. Unless you wish to propose amendments to this draft decision, may I suggest that we adopt it as a whole? I see no objection. I therefore declare decision 15.com 7.5 adopted as it appears on the screens. Let us now move on to adopting decision 15.com 7.6 concerning the second report submitted by Mongolia on folklore song performance technique of limb performances, circular breathing. The decision is up on your screens. Can we adopt this draft decision as a whole? Do you all agree? I see no objection. I therefore declare decision 15.com 7.6 adopted as it appears on the screens. We shall now move on to draft decision 15.com 7.7 as shown on the screen concerning the first report submitted by Mongolia on coaxing ritual for camels. Unless you wish to propose amendments to this draft decision, may I suggest that we adopt it as a whole? I see no objection. I therefore declare decision 15.com 7.7 adopted as it appears on the screens. Let us now move on to the adoption of decision 15.com 7.8 concerning the first report submitted by Uganda on Kugere oral tradition of the Masangora by Yabindi and Baturo peoples. Please forgive me if I'm not making, the pronunciation is not that great. The decision is on the screen. Can we adopt this draft decision as a whole? Do you all agree? I see no objection. I therefore declare decision 15.com 7.8 adopted as it appears on the screens. This is the last draft decision for an individual report. Decision 15.com/7.9 concerning the second report submitted by United Arab Emirates on al-Sadu traditional weaving skills in the United Arab Emirates. Shall we adopt as a whole? I see no objection. I therefore declare decision 15.com/7.9 adopted as it appears on the screens. Dear colleagues, I think that we are ready to move now to the chapeau decision of this item. Please refer to the draft decision in paragraph 16. Can we see it on the screen? May I ask the committee to adopt draft decision 15.com/7 paragraph by paragraph. Paragraph 1, citing the document we have examined. Do I see any objections? Adopted. Paragraph 2, recalling relevant articles of the convention and chapter 4.
Madam Chair.
Please go ahead.
Madam Chair, we have 2 committee members who've asked for the floor. 3.
Please go ahead.
We have, if I may, I will remind non-committee members that they may not request the floor during decisions. At this stage, only committee members can request the floor. And we have 3 committee members who have requested the floor. I can read Côte d'Ivoire, Czechia, and Brazil.
So we will proceed, and they take the floor after? Okay, please go ahead and take the floor. What are the companies?
Excusez-moi, Madame la Présidente, la Côte d'Ivoire voudrait prendre la parole que pour le paragraphe 5. Donc, nous allons attendre au paragraphe 5.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead, Czechia. I'd recognized you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We would like to propose the new paragraph 6, so we would like to wait as well to be there in our debate. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead. I will now recognize Brazil.
Gracias, señora presidenta. En primer lugar, quisiéramos agradecer al secretariado y al comité por la lectura atenta del informe presentado en 2019 y por el reconocimiento otorgado a los esfuerzos del Estado brasileño para mantener la viabilidad del ritual Iancoa. Ciertamente, estos esfuerzos se mantendrán en consonancia con el espíritu de la Convención y del Programa Nacional de Patrimonio Inmaterial. En este sentido, uno de los próximos esfuerzos coordinados a nivel nacional para la sustentabilidad del elemento tendrá lugar a partir del 2021 en el ámbito de la política brasileña de salvaguardia del patrimonio inmaterial. Se trata del proceso de revalidación del título de Patrimonio Cultural de Brasil, atribuído en 2010 al ritual Yancoá. Esse processo se realiza cada 10 anos, contados a partir do reconhecimento nacional de um elemento cultural, e implica evaluar a permanência do sentido de referência cultural desse elemento para seus grupos e comunidades portadoras, assim como actualizar a documentação hasta entonces reunida. Cabe mencionar que todo o trabalho de revalidação se realiza com a participação protagonista de los grupos e comunidades portadoras do elemento, del mesmo modo que as demais etapas do ciclo de la política de salvaguardia del patrimonio inmaterial em Brasil. Assim, os procedimentos e resultados do processo de revalidação do ritual Yancoá serão devidamente detalhados em um próximo informe à convenção que se entregará em 2023. Gracias, señora presidenta.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We can now move to paragraph 2. Recalling relevant articles on the convention and chapter 4 of the operational directives, I ask that we adopt. I see no objection. Adopted. Paragraph 3, underlining the importance of reporting on updated and accurate safeguarding plans. If there are no objection, I see none. Adopted. Paragraph 4, thanking the state parties for submitting their reports on time and welcoming the achievements reported by states parties in implementing their safeguarding plans. If there are no objections, can we adopt? Adopted. We're now at paragraph 5, further inviting state parties that have not yet submitted their expected reports to fulfill their reporting requirements at the earliest opportunity. I understand Côte d'Ivoire wanted to make an intervention here. Please go ahead.
Je n'ai pas de micro, madame. Je n'ai pas de micro.
Nous vous entendons très bien.
Tim?
Entendez? Entendu, merci. Il y a un problème sur ce paragraphe 5 dans la version française. La partie qui dit qu'il faut, en respectant la date limite du 15 décembre 2020, pour moi, elle n'a pas sa place ici. Il faudrait peut-être la supprimer parce que nous sommes au 15 décembre, donc il faudrait peut-être l'enlever puisqu'elle n'est plus d'actualité. Un bout de phrase quand vous regardez la version française et même la version anglaise. Dans le meilleur délai, en respectant la date limite du 15 décembre, afin que le comité puisse examiner ses rapports lors de la 16e session en 2021. Par conséquent, il faut enlever en respectant la date limite du 15 décembre. Il semblerait que cette phrase n'a pas sa place dans le paragraphe, s'il vous plaît.
Tim?
Madam Chair, yeah, I understand the concerns and we are aware of this. However, this is a statutory deadline, so either it may be removed, we don't need to mention it, but nevertheless, the deadline remains. But it's fine. If it's removed, then it doesn't change because that deadline is a statutory deadline. So either it can be removed and we can say in order for the committee to examine these reports at the 16th session.
Thank you, Tim.
On est sur le 5. Paragraphe 5.
I understand Brazil wants to take the floor. Please go ahead, Brazil.
Gracias, señora presidenta. Creo que un quick fix podría ser, bearing in mind the statutory deadline, and we take out the date 15 December. Thank you.
Thank you, Brazil. Members, we will go. Let's go with Brazil's proposal.
Madam Chair, may I read as I understood?
Please go ahead, Tim.
So that my colleagues may put it. So I understand that Brazil is saying, bearing in mind the statutory deadline, and we delete of December 2020, of 15 December 2020, in order for the committee to examine these reports at its 16th session. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. So can we adopt paragraph 5 as amended? I see no objection. We will adopt paragraph 5 as amended. Paragraph 6, inviting states parties to actively use the online interface of Form ICH 11 to report on the status of the elements. Czechia wanted to make an intervention here. Please go ahead, Czechia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we would like to propose this amendment to reflect our intervention in the general debate, that since we send this amendment to the Secretariat, some consultations between committee members took place, and I would like to pass the floor to my colleague from Sweden to maybe propose some better wording on this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Czechia. Tim, could you please read the new paragraph? Thank you.
Yes, Madam Chairperson. Sorry, can I ask my colleagues to please remove thank you. The paragraph proposed by Czechia reads, requests the Secretariat to include an item of the provisional agenda of its next ordinary session concerning a possible amendment of the new operational directives on restricting submitting new nomination files for examination if the reporting duties concerning already inscribed elements have not been fulfilled by the state's parties. Thank you, Madam Chair.
So paragraph 6 becomes paragraph 7, new paragraph 7. I'm going to ask Kuwait, that has indicated want to make an intervention, to go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I think, I have some concern regarding the change that's been submitted regarding restriction submitting a new nomination. I think this is an extra restriction we bring on the state parties. We might switch or change the word submitting will be evaluating. So restricting the evaluation of new nominations. So the state party can submit, and instead of the submitting will be evaluating a new nomination. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Can I ask that we adopt paragraph 6 as a pair on the screen
Madam
at this
Chair,
time?
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Tim.
we did have a proposal from Kuwait to replace restricting with, examination. Okay, it's done there. Also, Sweden wanted to take the floor. No, it's
Okay, go ahead.
Kuwait in front of examination. Evaluating, that's it. Perfect, thank you. On restricting, evaluating.
Sweden, please take the floor as indicated.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and we would like to thank Czechia for this proposal that is very much in line with what we were planning to propose as well. And we also agree with the amendment made by Kuwait. So with this, we can happily support the proposal that is on the text on the screen. Thank you.
Thank you, Sweden. Switzerland, you may take the floor.
Yes, thank you. We wanted to support the proposal of Czechia as amended by Kuwait. Thank you.
Thank you. Poland, please take the floor as indicated.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Poland wishes to ask some more detailed information regarding the part of the decision for the amendment of the operational directive, in what way and in what stage this should be proceeded. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Please go ahead, Tim.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to answer to the question posed by Poland. Indeed, I remind that this is a request to put an item on the agenda of the next committee so that it may be sent to the General Assembly. This is the normal procedure for proposing operational directive changes, which means it must first be discussed at a committee and then be put forward to the General Assembly. So what we will do is, based on this request, we will develop an item, a document, to explain how we imagine going forward on this matter with the details, which we will present to the committee at its next session, to allow it to make a fully informed recommendation for the General Assembly to then make its decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. So at this point, can we adopt the new paragraph 6 as a pair on the screen? New paragraph 6 adopted. Paragraph 7, which would now be a new 7. May I ask for its adoption? I see no objection. Adopted. New paragraph 8. Here we underline the importance of successive reports taking into account the recommendations of the committee for the reports submitted in previous cycles. If there are no objections, I ask for its adoption. Adopted. New paragraph 9 takes note of the growing role of education and various institutions, such as museums, in enhancing the effectiveness of safeguarding plans. If there are no objections, may I ask for its adoption? I see no objection. Adopted. New paragraph 10 invite states parties to request international assistance from the Intangible Cultural Heritage Fund for implementing their safeguarding plans. If there are no objection, may I ask for it to be adopted? Tim, do you wish to say something?
No, sorry, I did not. I'm sorry. Do you have a question for me, Madam Chair? No.
So, paragraph 10, adopted. The new paragraph 11 states parties are invited to report on how community participation is being ensured throughout all stages of the safeguarding. I see no objection. I ask that this paragraph be adopted. Adopted. New paragraph 12. We shall acknowledge the positive impact that the safeguarding of intangible cultural heritage could have on gender equity and encourage states to report on that. If there are no objections, may I ask for new paragraph 12 to be adopted? Adopted. Paragraph 13, new paragraph 13, encouraging states to report on the broader environmental and socio-economic challenges they may encounter in the implementation of the safeguarding plans. If there are no objections, may I ask for new paragraph 13 to be adopted? Adopted. In new paragraph 14, we acknowledge that certain elements are reported to be no longer in need of urgent safeguarding, but at the same time, recall Declaration 12.com14, asking state parties to refrain from submitting requests for a transfer from the urgent safeguarding list to the representative list until clear procedures have been created. If there are no objections, may I ask for this paragraph to be adopted? Adopted. And lastly, paragraph 15, deciding to submit to the General Assembly at its 9th session the summary of reports examined this year. If there are no objections, I ask for this paragraph to be adopted. Adopted. We have adopted each of the paragraphs and now need to adopt decision as a whole. If there are no objections, I see no objections. I therefore declare decision 15.com7 adopted as it appears on the screens. Before moving to the next item, I would like to give the floor to states who have submitted their reports. Please raise your hand if you wish to say a few words to share your experience in preparing the report and implementing your safeguarding plan. At this point, Brazil, Mongolia, the United Arab Emirates have indicated that they wish to take the floor. I now invite Brazil.
Madam Chair, I believe Brazil already made
Yes?
its statement on its element.
I'm sorry?
I believe Brazil already took the floor to discuss its element earlier.
Okay.
Madam Chair, this is correct. Brazil has already delivered speech. If you prefer, I think it's we can pass at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you. We will go to Mongolia. Please take the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. I hope you can hear me well. As we are taking floor for the first time, I would like to congratulate your chairmanship and congratulate Jamaica for organization of the 15th session of the Intergovernmental Committee meeting. Distinguished members of the committee and state parties, on behalf of government of Mongolia, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to the committee and the evaluation body for their decision taken on the reports of the current status of 2 elements inscribed on the list of ICH in need of urgent safeguarding: folk long song performance technique of limp performances, circular breathing, and coaxing ritual for camels. Furthermore, we would like to thank the Secretariat of the Convention and the advisory body for their great efforts on supporting in this challenging time. In connection to the ICH element folk long song performance technique of limb performance, circular breathing, the State Party would like to express sincere gratitude to the Intangible Cultural Heritage Fund for granting the international assistance to implement the project for safeguarding of the element. Mongolia also recognizes the committee's decision on the element to enhance the gender balance. Due to the specific nature of the current element, majority of the practitioners of the heritage bearers are male. However, we believe that through the project implementation, the number of female practitioners will increase in near future. For example, currently 25% of the apprentice bearers participating in the project are female. In connection to the ICH element coaxing ritual for camels, we would like to mention that the National Program for Safeguarding of Intangible Cultural Heritage includes such objectives as improvement of the social value of heritage bearers, provide financial support for practitioners, and improve their incentive system. Promote the ICH element nationwide through innovative technologies such as creation of the digital and video content to raise awareness among the young generation. In addition, I would like to mention that the government of Mongolia is paying great importance to the cultural heritage, and the dedicated Ministry of Culture has been established in 2020 and acting as the main authority and policymaker in the cultural sector. Thus, the Ministry of Culture is the main implementing authority of the national program for the safeguarding of intangible heritage, a major step in the field of safeguarding of 2020, Mongolia is implementing various activities in the framework of the national program, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic and economic crisis arising from it, we face many challenges and difficulties in executing them as expected. But we believe that together we will get through these hard times. Thank you for your kind attention, and I wish you a fruitful meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mongolia. I will now invite the United Arab Emirates.
Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente. Vous m'entendez? Vous m'entendez? Allô?
On vous entend très bien, Madame.
Ah, merci. Oui, je voudrais remercier Madame la Présidente. J'aimerais aussi remercier le secrétariat de la Convention pour leurs efforts considérables en ces temps de crise sanitaire mondiale. Bravo à eux et bon courage. Pour revenir au rapport soumis par les Émirats arabes unis, j'aimerais souligner que le SADO a été inscrit sur la liste de sauvegarde urgente en 2011 et depuis cette date, les autorités concernées aux Émirats arabes unis s'engagent à remplir les obligations stipulées dans l'accord en termes de soumission du rapport périodique tous les 4 ans. En l'espace de presque 10 ans, après l'inscription de l'élément de SADO, l'augmentation du nombre des praticiens ainsi que le renforcement des plans de conservation peuvent témoigner de cet engagement. Je voulais également souligner qu'un nouvel plan de sauvegarde élaboré par les autorités concernées aux Émirats arabes unis est en cours de mise en place. Il se penche sur la question des artisans, le recensement, leur formation, ainsi que la délivrance de brevets de qualification. Pour conclure, nous voudrions renouveler notre souhait d'entamer une démarche pour demander le transfert du SADU de la liste de sauvegarde urgente à la liste représentative. Nous sommes bien conscients que les termes du processus du transfert de liste vers une autre liste ne sont pas encore été bien définis, mais nous espérons qu'ils le seront bientôt. Je vous remercie infiniment. Bonsoir à vous.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair. I am sorry to take the floor only because for the entirety of the statement by the UAE, there was no interpretation. I recognize that there are issues, but we do not want to put that delegation or any more at a disadvantage by not being able to hear them. So just wanted to draw that to your attention as other delegations have noticed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jamaica.
Madam Chair, we understand.
Yes, please go ahead, Tim.
We understand that there's a problem, technical problem with the English translation. I understand the technicians are working on it so that it may come through. We apologize for this. We will sort this. I think it's sorted already now. I'm told the matter is now sorted.
Allô, vous voulez que je recommence le statement que j'ai dit? Parce que apparemment, vous ne m'avez pas entendu.
Yes.
Oui, bonsoir.
Yes,
Bonsoir.
please go ahead.
Bonsoir. Oui, en fait, je voulais remercier en fait le secrétariat de la Convention pour leurs efforts considérables en ces temps de crise sanitaire mondiale. Bravo à eux et bon courage. Pour revenir au rapport soumis par les Émirats arabes unis, j'aimerais souligner que le SADU a été inscrit en 2011 sur la liste de sauvegarde urgente et depuis cette date, les autorités concernées aux Émirats arabes unis se sont engagées et continuent à s'engager à remplir les obligations stipulées dans l'accord en termes de soumission du rapport périodique tous les 4 ans. En l'espace de presque 10 ans, après l'inscription de l'élément de SADU, l'augmentation du nombre des praticiens ainsi que le renforcement des plans de conservation peuvent témoigner de cet engagement. Je voulais également souligner qu'un nouvel plan de sauvegarde élaboré par les autorités concernées est en cours de mise en place. Ce plan se penche sur la question des artisans, le recensement dans un registre de l'Émirat d'Abu Dhabi, leur formation et la délivrance de brevets de qualification. Pour conclure, nous voudrions renouveler notre souhait d'entamer une démarche pour demander le transfert du SADU de la liste de sauvegarde urgente à la liste représentative. Nous sommes bien conscients que les termes de processus du transfert de liste vers l'autre liste ne sont pas encore été bien définis, mais nous espérons qu'ils le seront bientôt. Je vous remercie et bonne soirée à vous.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chair, Madam Chair.
I would like to thank you all for keenly sharing your rich and inspiring experiences with us today. Dear members of the committee, we have now completed the examination of item 7.